Hello everyone, welcome to GKToday's new tutorial, General Sciences Biology, Module 6. The purpose of this module is to understand the following questions. What are the basic features of life? Why is life on Earth carbon-based? Could it also be silicon-based? What are the key advantages that make carbon the winner? What are the organic and inorganic substances of which organisms are made? And what are bioorganic molecules? I'm Ritrisha from GK Today and I'm going to be taking you through this. We start with living organisms. So life is considered a characteristic of organisms that exhibit all or most of the 7 phenomena. That is homeostasis, organization, metabolism, growth, adaptation, response to stimuli and reproduction. Let us see what these are. The first is homeostasis. So homeostasis is the regulation of the internal environment to maintain a constant state. So for example, human beings, our temperature is 37 degrees Celsius and we try to maintain it throughout. If it goes higher, it's because we are sick. So our normal temperature is a part of this homeostasis. So this includes, other than temperature, pH, osmoregulation, concentrations of sodium and potassium, then levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen in our blood, as well as our glucose levels. An example would be, of course, sweating to reduce temperature, which is why when we get better from a fever, we sweat so as to regulate our temperature. Next is organization. Organization basically refers to the fact that living beings are made of one or more cells. So cell is the basic unit of life and these are arranged in different patterns to form different organisms. Next we come to metabolism. Metabolism refers to life-sustaining chemical transformations within the cell of the living organism. So when we eat, what happens is the food is carried to our cells use oxygen to form energy. Sometimes that energy gets converted back into fats and gets stored in our system. So this whole process in humans is our human metabolism. There are two types, of course. Anabolism, which refers to transformation of energy by converting chemicals and energy into cellular components. And catabolism, which is decomposing of organic matter. So when we eat food and it gets transformed to fat, that would be anabolism. When the fat gets broken down after say a heavy exercise session and it gets converted into energy, that would be catabolism. Next we have growth. So growth refers to increase in size in all parts of an organism. Keep in mind, growth doesn't only mean the smaller thing getting bigger. If even something as simple as your hair falling in new hair is also growth. So you getting a scratch on your skin and that skin growing back, that is also growth. So to grow, an organism needs a higher rate of anabolism than catabolism. So basically you need to be able to store most of your energy back into your body than spend it. Next is adaptation. Adaptation is the ability to change over time in response to the environment. So take humans for example, we changed from people who lived in jungles to who have built civilizations over time. Or even a better example would be say dogs. Domesticated dogs came from wolves whom we took from the wild and domesticated and they have adapted to this environment to a whole new species. So adaptation, of course, is fundamental to evolution. That's how species evolve. It is determined by the organism's heredity, diet, and other external factors. Next, we have response to stimuli. So stimuli is anything that causes a reaction in an organism. So this can take many forms, whether it's a contraction of a unicellular organism to external chemicals, or complex reactions involving all the senses of a multicellular organism. So the sunflower turning towards the sun, where sun is the stimuli and it turning towards the sun is the response. Or say a touch me not plant, when touch it shrivels up. The touch is the stimuli and the plant shriveling up is the response. So, in case of sunflower, that is phototropism. And there are also insects and plants which react to chemicals by getting attracted towards them. That is chemotaxis. Next is reproduction. Reproduction, of course, as we know, is the ability to produce new individual organisms, either asexually, that is from a single parent, like how amoeba reproduces, or sexually, as most mammals do, a baby comes from two parents. We next move to why is life on Earth carbon-based and not silicon-based? So silicon and carbon both have similar structure. Let us understand why carbon is the basic formulating structure for organisms. So life on Earth is carbon-based. Carbon makes up for 18% of the weight of the human body. Due to its unique electron configuration, carbon needs to share electrons. It can form four covalent bonds with other carbon atoms or a variety of other elements. We note here that technically life on Earth could be based on silicon also, because this element has the same bonding properties as carbon. However, there is much less silicon than there is carbon on Earth. Also, carbon wins because of a variety of reasons. For example, the bonding versatility of carbon allows it to take many forms, whether it's long side chains that make up fatty acids and cell membranes, ring structures that compose hormones and sugars, and even gaseous molecules like say methane or carbon dioxide. Silicon has none of those capabilities. Also, while carbon is perfectly comfortable in a variety of different structures, whether it's rings, long chains, multi-ring chains, even double-bonded carbon catenations, silicon's analogous structures are comparatively unstable in nature and they are highly reactive. Additionally, such analogous silicon compounds may never occur in nature because of how reactive it is. Also, the largest silicon molecule ever observed had only 6 silicon atoms. In contrast, some carbon-based molecules can have tens of thousands. So naturally, carbon is more diverse. Because of all these reasons, organisms on Earth are carbon-based. Now moving to molecules. So, four chemical elements make up the majority of biological matter. These are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Organisms are made of both organic and inorganic substances. Now, let's come to a question. Which among the following elements in the human body or organs makes the main basis of working of the MRI or magnetic resonance imaging? Now in the options we have nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium and sodium. Now you must be thinking if it's magnetic it had to do something with iron, right? But it's not there in the option. So which one could it be? The answer is hydrogen. Now let's delve into why. So as it happens, we already know the human body is roughly 70% water, right? Now MRI machine can see the water molecules. What do we mean by see? So water has hydrogen atoms and hydrogen atoms have a nucleus which contains a single proton which contains something called a quantum spin. Now we won't go very deep into this because we don't really need it. What you need to understand is this quantum spin is an angular momentum which is a quantum property and is possessed by individual protons. And it allows for magnetic interaction and resonance. As a result, this magnetic resonance imaging machine can detect those atoms. So, hydrogen is the correct answer. Moving on, we have inorganic molecules. Most common inorganic substances needed for life are water, mineral salts, molecular oxygen, molecular carbon dioxide, etc. Out of them, water is the most abundantly inorganic substance in almost all animals and plants. Mineral salts are simple inorganic substances made up of metallic chemical elements such as iron, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, or non-metallic elements such as chlorine and phosphorus. The mineral salts are found in two forms: solubilized ions, or ions that can dissolve in our cells, and non-solubilized form, like calcium, which is in solid form in our bones. So we come to a question. The metals in which the following groups are required in maximum quantities in living organisms. Which of these metals are required most by a living organism? So the options are potassium, manganese, molybdenum, calcium. Option 2, potassium, molybdenum, copper and calcium. Option 3, potassium, sodium, magnesium, calcium. And option 4, sodium, magnesium, copper, manganese. And we have just studied that the answer is potassium, sodium, magnesium and calcium. Moving on to organic molecules. There are many types of organic molecules that are important for living organisms. Out of them, 4 molecules stand out. What are these? These are nucleic acids, which form our DNA and RNA, proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. These are referred to as bioorganic molecules. They all contain carbon. These perform the basic functions of life, such as structural functions, like compose, surround and maintain organs, membranes, cell organelles. Then there are energy functions like chemical reactions and metabolism. Control and informative functions such as genetic code control, inter and intracellular signaling, etc. And enzymatic functions such as facilitation of chemical reactions. These molecules are much more complex and made of sequences of carbon chains bound to other elements called polymers or biopolymers or giant polymers. They are also called macromolecules. The molecules which have a weight greater than 1000 daltons are referred to as macromolecules. Okay. So there are these macromolecules are quite diverse in terms of structure, size and function. There are some common features such as all of them are comprised of single units linked together to create a chain, similar to a freight train with many cars. All the monomers or single units contain one carbon. All monomers are linked together through a process known as dehydration synthesis, which means building by removing water. All polymers are broken down by the same method called hydrolysis, which also means breaking with water. So basically the chains are formed by removing the water. Carbohydrates, lipids, and even proteins can be metabolized for energy. ATP and related compounds are used as temporary energy storage vehicles. The comparative value of common energy sources for cells are 4 kilocalorie per gram for carbohydrate, 9 kilocalorie per gram for fat, and 4 kilocalorie per gram for proteins. So a question is, 1 gram of which of the following will produce maximum ATPs? Protein, carbohydrate, fats and minerals. And as we just studied, fats. Okay, so that was all from here. If you liked this tutorial, please do subscribe to our channel GK Today on YouTube. The next tutorial is gonna be on water molecules in living organisms. Till then, keep studying and goodbye.